Welcome back to Buckets WNBA edition. I am your host, Jim Turvey. We are here for a Commissioner's Cup preview final, the Commissioner's Cup final preview. We got Dano, Mataya. It's a Tuesday. They did us right here schedule wise. We didn't even have to change up schedules. We just got a nice Tuesday night, big time showdown between the Lynx and the Fever. Dano, we're going to go deep on this game. That's going to be our topic of the day. We're going to talk about some of the history of it, some of the betting trends, what we think about these two teams, storylines galore. But before all that, how was your weekend? How was your betting weekend? How was your life weekend? How are things going?
I think it's been pretty up and down as far as like betting goes with the WNBA. Lately, I feel like only all underdogs are winning outright, which is, I love it. It's fun, but definitely harder to predict. But I love that there's only 3 weeks between the French Open and Wimbledon. So Wimbledon bets, I'm already firing at will. So that part's fun. Got to go sit courtside at Liberty Mercury, which was sick.
Nice.
I think you put in Mercury to win at plus 1,600 or something. I got some alert.
Title odds on the Merc.
Yeah.
You unloaded.
Yeah, I mean, to me, with futures, especially in this league, I really think there's only 3 teams that I'm really sure can do it. And I unloaded a couple weeks ago on some exactas. Basically just combinations of the Mercury, the Lynx, and the Liberty. And the fact that Mercury are second in standings, it makes that even better. Gosh, if we can get the Liberty or the Lynx to drop to 4, that would be so. Or like just have them be in that 1-4-5 matchup. That'd be so sweet. Because I think the Mercury can get the job done. They're so good at home. They've shot too well for 2 games in a row and then blew it, but they put on a dang show for me. I'll say that. It's even better in person.
The
crowd's
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, we give a lot of love to the Valks for sure, but I think shout out to the X Factor there. Shout out to Val Coleman, who hooks it up with the seats. Great person, great human being. President of Lexi Helk fan club. She pulled the Caitlin Clark 101 that sold for $275,000. Big shout out to her. And not a pretty damn good bettor also. She's
Nice.
she's a vibe queen, if you know what I mean. Like
I love that.
But yeah, so good weekend overall.
Absolutely love that. Let's get into this game. Real first, I'll do our Action Pro shout out here as always. As a reminder, our brand new, not so even new anymore. We're a good chunk away into the season here. WNBA projections available in the Action Network app. So if you're looking for an edge betting WNBA sides, totals, or player props, Action Pro projections are the perfect tool for your toolbox this summer. If you're not an Action Pro subscriber yet, you can get $20 off an annual subscription right now. Just visit actionnetwork.com/pro to sign up. That's $20 off the annual subscription at actionnetwork.com/pro. Let's do a little Commissioner's Cup history. So this is the 5th edition. This was not around for all of league history. It only came into existence in 2021. In that very first matchup, we had the Storm beat the Sun by 22. It's a blowout win. Stewie was the MVP. Look at the box score. It's pretty funny looking through some of these old box scores. The Sun couldn't buy a bucket. It was like, kind of that classic Sun defense, but then when it gets to like the playoffs, the offense kind of fades in and out at times. The total was below 140. Do you have any thoughts on or memories of that first game in particular? We can kind of go one by one through them here. We don't have to go too long on it. Just anything that stands out.
Really weird that they decided let's put this game in Phoenix.
Yeah, didn't really make a whole lot of sense. You mentioned I don't want to steal your thunder here, but you noticed a couple of trends here, and that first one just isn't relevant because it was a neutral site game. The Aces over the Sky was the second rendition. We had a 10-point win for the Aces. This one was higher scoring, 176 points. Chelsea Gray was the MVP, despite Asia going 17 and 17 points and rebounds, and Plum having both more points and assists. But Chelsea, she's kind of the hub of the offense. She's kind of the spirit of the Aces at times. So I can see where we're coming from on that. It was a wire-to-wire win. Honestly, wasn't even as close as that final score suggests. They jumped out to like a 20-point lead in the first quarter and kind of just cruised the rest of the way there. Do you have any memories of that game, 2022?
Yeah, just thinking the Sky had a shot because earlier in the season they were down like 27 and came back and killed the Aces in Vegas.
Right.
So they were at home and they went down. I don't know, it was like 39-14 or something in the first. Just ridiculous. But the voters in that game got it right as far as like the vibe check of not giving it to Asia, and that should have happened last year.
Yeah, we'll skip. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
So then 2023 and 2024, these are two that we've had Buckets WNBA podcast previewing, and they've been very good to us. This is why it's kind of a special episode. That was when Maria was hosting and I was on, and the two of us, we loved the Liberty in 2023. They got it done over the Aces. We loved Jonquel Jones as MVP, and she got it done for us at plus 3,400. It's a 19-point win for the Liberty, and it was 82-63, 145 points total. Really kind of, they just kind of laid the smackdown on. Maureen Johannes had a great game off the bench. I believe she was the leading scorer, but it was JJ with like 15 and 15 for the MVP there that they got home on that plus 3,400. That was a very early fond memory of that game. Do you have fond memories of the game as well? I think you were on JJ MVP as well.
Yeah, and then of course any Liberty Aces game, I think I bet the people's side. I think history would say that I'm up a lot on that matchup, just in recent history at least. But I mean, as an Aces hater, I loved it. Didn't get the real chip in the end of that season, but
I was going to say it ended a little differently come the actual finals. And last year we had Lynx, Liberty again. Liberty are trying to defend the crown here. No one's gone back to back. We don't even have anyone who's won twice because the Lynx got it done. It was a close game, closest we've seen in the Commissioner's Cup so far. High scoring game as well. And listen, Bridget Carlton, it was right there. She got us the 3-point lead. That was a great bet. She probably should have won MVP. Fee said she should have won MVP. But they gave it to Collier, which was, we had, again, Maria and I were on the Lynx side of it and gave out the Carlton stuff. It was really good hits, but the Carlton MVP would have really been an all-timer. But what can you do? What are your memories of last year's Commissioner's Cup final?
I was there. I was at UBS Arena. So for one, it was at UBS Arena in Long Island.
Yes, they moved it out on the Long Island for some reason.
And I forgot what was happening at the NBA draft. So one, I felt really, I mean, I was on Lynx. I think they were getting 6. And I was on that and I felt good, even though the Liberty started out so hot. Sabrina, I think, had 20 in the first half. I think she maybe ended with like 22, like just fell apart in the end. But that was the pivotal moment where you're like, God, this Lynx team is like, they're good. I think they were still at like double digit, like at least 10-1 to still win it all at that point. I could be wrong. I think those of us that got them early in the season were like 30-1, maybe more. But team really put themselves on the map with that win. I remember Alyssa Peely walking through UBS Arena lost with a bottle of champagne afterwards, trying to find her way. But yeah. Also, only 5 voters for the MVP, and I talked to one of them. I won't say his name. And I mean, I'm surprised at who they chose, by the way. It depended on seating. I'm saying like chose to vote.
Okay.
Because I knew like one of them confirmed to me, and the other one looked over and said he saw Bridget's name. So I have no idea if it was rigged or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kathy pulled that off.
We're going to get a lawyer in here. Delara can come on and get us.
Well, it wasn't audited by EY or Deloitte. I'll tell you that.
5 voters is crazy, and we'll get back to this when we talk about this year's game. But it is a big thing to consider when you're thinking about a 1-game sample, 5 voters, 2 pretty heavy favorites this year. Honestly, oftentimes that's how it is. And like we said, JJ was the MVP the year before at 34-1. Interesting spot to look. So let's use that to transition into this year's game. First matchup between these two teams this season. Actually, weirdly enough, they don't play in the regular season until August 22nd. Just one of those weird schedule quirks. Minnesota obviously looking to become the first repeat winner and the first back-to-back winner as well. Obviously, Fever would make it 5 teams in 5 years. Minnesota's here thanks to a 14-2 record, 5-1 in Commissioner's Cup. Indiana just 8-8 overall, but they went 4-1 and they beat New York, which was key for tiebreaker situations to get here. We have a spread of the Lynx -6.5, the total of 165.5. Now, these have been on the move a little bit today. So when you're listening, it'll probably hopefully be around there. It doesn't seem like it'll be too crazy, but it could shift a lot because I think the biggest storyline has to be, is Caitlin going to play or not? I think the number opened up around Lynx. I want to say they opened maybe -4.5, and that number has only kept moving towards Minnesota as it seems maybe more and more possible that Caitlin might be out. We saw Nafisa Collier miss games last week, so there was, for a minute there, it was like, oh, are both stars going to be out? Are both stars going to be questionable? Fee came back, looked her excellent. Fee. Caitlin, we still haven't seen. She missed 5 games earlier in the season with a quad injury. She's now missed 2 in a row with a groin injury. She did practice on Friday. But I think both of us, regardless of the market, are wondering, this is definitely a legit questionable. This isn't like, let's rest up Caitlin and get her into the Commissioner's Cup. I think there's a decent chance she doesn't play. What are your thoughts on everything I just said, but maybe mostly the Caitlin of it all?
Yeah, I mean that really is the core of this game. And I will say, like, Fever have looked decent without her. I mean, they shot 81% in a quarter against the Wings, who did hold the Dream to the worst shooting performance in 15 years.
Insane.
But there's a video that went around from practice, and I've never seen Caitlin wear 2 leg sleeves and wear her hair in a bun. Like, I don't know. I don't. It smells fishy. I mean, like, this is a generational talent. You're in a year where you really think you can win it. You have the talent. Why would you risk it on this game? I know the money's important for the players, but I'm sure Caitlin can offset some financial help for her teammates with one of her endorsements. So I mean, like, I think they should be smart, err on the side of caution. But also Caitlin's a gamer. And maybe this injury's fake. I mean, I nothing would shock me. So yeah, I do think, like, in my heart of hearts, that Caitlin will not be playing tomorrow. Be a bummer, but
I do have some people in the betting space are really big information bettors, and if you talk to them, they will say that the WNBA is like the hardest league to information bet. Like, because it's like kind of its media is still growing. There's less beat reporters for each team than the NBA or something like that, and they're kind of just lock and key about a lot of the injury stuff. There aren't people there to ask the questions. The people don't necessarily always ask the questions, and then the people can be kind of tight-lipped at times. So being an information bettor in the W is pretty tough, which is why I think both of us are kind of trying to do a little bit of projecting our own. So let's talk about what are our best bets for the game as a whole. Then we can kind of talk through how we are getting there, what we think of the game, some trends, stuff like that. But what are your best bets for this game?
I think I'm operating on the side that Caitlin's not playing. I'm taking Lynx -6.5, and hoping they confirm she's out and that number jumps. But still, like, with the trends of the underdogs, I'm scared. I guess I'll get more into that later. But and then I'm gonna play 2 Commissioner Cup MVPs.
Hell yeah.
Gonna play Caitlin McBride at 21-1.
Yep.
And I'm gonna play Alana Smith at 100-1 to win Commissioner Cup MVP.
I absolutely love this. I felt derelict in my duties because they didn't come with an MVP bet this time. Nothing was jumping. K-Mac was the most interesting to me. Her number has come down a little bit. I still am intrigued, but I'm so glad you have 2. I'll rattle off my best bets, and then let's kind of talk about the game even more. So my best bets, I'm with you on the Lynx. I'm going to take it one step further and kind of lean into the unknowns of the injury stuff here. I'm going to do an alt number. I'm going to do Lynx -15.5. You can bet that at +325 right now. I'm leaning towards the under, though I want to talk through. You have some thoughts on this that might be enough to scare me off of that. And then on the player prop side, this is only a prize pick, so you'd have to pair it with something. I'm really hoping it pops eventually at either 365 or ESPN, one of those type of books. I want Caitlin over 4.5 turnovers if she plays. Obviously, she might not even play, and turnover markets are notoriously hard to find. But I would love that play. And then finally, I'm doing one other player prop adjacent type thing. I'm going to do Nafisa Collier top scorer at +115. That's at FanDuel. So let's talk about the fact that we're both on the Lynx. Why don't you talk about part of the reasons you're there, and then I can kind of give some of my cap on being on the alt right here specifically.
I'm on Lynx full game because I think, depth wise, Fever don't have enough to keep it close over 40 minutes. Even with Caitlin, they rely so much on their starters to be successful. And meanwhile, Lynx have depth. They have size, size that we've seen the Fever struggle with this entire season. You can't stop Azrae Stevens from getting rebounds. And Fear Kahambi, Alana Smith, and Fear are going to torch you. That's one thing. I do think Stephanie White is, for as much of a bad game manager as she is, I do think scouting she does a decent job. So I am a little wary on the Fee stuff. Fee is probably matchup proof at this point, though. She's that good. She's what people think Asia still is, probably. No shot at Asia. Asia just isn't it anymore. Fee might be it. She's just that damn good. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if Fever comes blazing, like backs against the wall, hit a ton of threes to start the game, have a crazy first quarter, and then just tail off. So, I wouldn't mind live betting this game either. I think I did the same thing with the Lynx last year. Liberty just came out so hot. I think Sap at 5 threes in the first half. Easy to look for some regression to happen. So, it's the Fever have been hard to read all year. Let's be honest, but especially hard to read when you don't really know who their best lineup is. Not saying we can't this is still a winnable game. At full strength, the Lynx should have lost to the Sun at home. They probably should have lost to the Wings at home. There are signs of this team that they aren't perfect. They lost to the Mystics, granted without Fee, but I still don't see it with the depth though.
Yeah, so you referenced a couple of those kind of, dicier win, but not by a lot. One thing that jumped out to me looking at this game is those were earlier season. They kind of settled in. So they're 12-1 with Fee in the lineup. And 6 of those last 7 wins have now been by double digits. So they're starting to look like the Lynx again. Their defense has really settled back in. They're now easily the best defense. Now that JJ and Febich have been out for New York, it's kind of the defensive rating title. The belt is back in Minnesota, and they look like the best defense out there. On the Indiana side, you said that they're decent without Caitlin. I believe they're 5-4. They're 5-4 with Caitlin, which means they're 3-5 or no 3-4, 3-4 without her. Respectable, not big enough sample to say there's no chance. And Caitlin has played really poorly in the last 3 games she's been in.
Yeah.
Arguably, her spacing is always going to help, but tons of turnovers, terrible shooting. So they have been able to. They're a solid team, but I think Minnesota is clearly in the level of very, very good team. Carly Samuelson's potentially out for them. You said it though, Dano. Depth. They have so much depth. Their bench units are great. They can kind of cycle folks in, and it's really not going to matter all that much. They easily can lean on players for more minutes than they have been using them. One thing I was curious about when looking at player props for this game. Are we going to see 32 minutes from Courtney Williams instead of her normal 28? Are we going to see 36 from Fee instead of 33? They have that ability. They just don't really need to use it at times. So I struggled on that end with the player prop side of what do we land on for minutes? Because they theoretically could push their starters a little bit more, but I'm not even sure if they really need to. And in this game, if Caitlin doesn't play, I do think there's a pretty good chance of a Lynx blowout here.
Yeah.
Talked about the Caitlin turnovers. Just in general, this has been, she has turned it over at a really, really high rate. I'm going to pull up the exact numbers here because I didn't jot them down in the doc itself. But if we look at her last 6 games, she's had 8, 6, 4, 7, and 10. And that's even, I had here that I kind of was looking at this game in two game scripts. And I was kind of writing this more when I thought Caitlin was more probable instead of now seeing her as kind of questionable. But I really did think, if Caitlin is healthy, there's been this talk of her home road splits. And to me, I talked about this with Danny on last podcast about how Surratt on the Ringer show really kind of broke it down. It's not the home road because that doesn't translate year over year. She was actually better on the road than at home last season. It's rest versus not rest. And if you think about when she came back to that Liberty game, it was her first game back off an injury. She was amazing. I mean, she scored 32 points. She had 8 rebounds, 9 assists. They beat the previously undefeated Liberty. She looked like the best player in the league at that game, and that was off of an injury. So that ceiling is there for her, and I think that is a game script. We always talk about how she knows how to play in the biggest moments. She steps up in those moments and is incredible. If she does play, because I'm with you, Dano, I think they see the big picture here. They're not going to force her to play if she is not healthy. There's just no, like you said, split one of your, multi-million-dollar endorsements and cover the team. You'll be all right. Or just, the team has clearly invested a lot. Like, don't push the future of your franchise in a game that honestly doesn't really matter all that much. It matters more in a regular season game, but not even more than a playoff game, I would say. So I think if she's playing, she's healthy. And I think if she plays, you can very much look at her alts. You could look at 30 plus points. You could look at, there's some fun under the game specials. None of them jumped out to me without Caitlin, but if Caitlin plays, her to hit 7-3, something crazy like that is always in the realm of possibility for her. But now that she's sliding down to, I kind of would make it like 40% for her to play right now in my mind. I just keep coming back to the Lynx side, and I like getting some of these longer numbers like an alt spread because the script really changes with Caitlin now. It is a much different Fever team. I just don't think they'll have the firepower to stay with Minnesota. Talk to me about the over-under, though, because you had thoughts on this. I was leaning under, but it moved 2 points from the number that it was originally a best bet on. So now it's at 165.5. And then when you said you were a little bit hesitant, I did get a little nervous. So talk to me about the over-under here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it completely like what we saw in Dallas. Like, Dallas is not terrible defensively. Like, sure, they're towards the bottom of the league, but there are some incredible shooters on this team. I mean, it's built for Caitlin. She's surrounded by him. What happens if we get, a referee crew that is, big on calling fouls? I mean, this game should be, it's competitive. They're going to be going for a lot of money here. I could see a ton of free throws in this matchup as well. Lynx are great at getting to the line. Fee's fantastic at it. So, I mean,
and the Fever, I think the Fever commit like the most or second most. They're up there for physicality too.
Yeah, and who's to say that Sophie won't get us a few texts, But seriously, like this game could, if the Fever come out guns blazing and they really think they can do this, they probably lean in more towards attacking. But I mean, they have a lot. I mean, outside of Aaliyah Boston, most of the talent is spread across the board. I mean, one way or another, I could see like it tends to scare me thinking about how big of a first half we could get. Not saying I'm betting the first quarter, first half over. Just after seeing, what the Fever can do, they did it against Seattle. I think they scored like 12 points in the final minute and a half of that first quarter. They're just a scary team. Really are.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the things moving me towards the Minnesota side as I kind of dug in a little bit more is that the Indiana defense, which had started the season as like a top 2 or 3 unit and really looked like, oh, okay, like Steph White came and she established a good defense, that has slipped a lot. They're down to 7th. And considering how good they had been, that means that in the past month, they really have not been very good. So I think that's notable. So I think I'll downgrade that to a lean. I'll still leave it there for a touch, but let's see if there's anything else. Oh, I did want to say, and to that point, so they have allowed 85 plus points each of the past 5 games. So they are giving up significant amounts here. They've played one of the easier schedules so far as well. The Fever have to be 8-8. Net ratings thinks they're a little bit unlucky. It thinks they should be, if you do Pythags, like 10-6, maybe something like that. But it's been against one of the easiest schedules. So balance all out. It's kind of like this 7th or 8th best team in the W, which is a very decent team. But for a home team, missing their best player, traveling to Minnesota, going against, Fee and this crew, I think 6.5 is the side I would be on as well.
Yeah, and I real quick to your point about 7th or 8th best team. Like, I do not think that this is a like the best matchup we could have got for the Commissioner Cup either.
No,
like,
I know.
Liberty, Dream both would have been like way better. So, just Dream had to lose to the Sun.
Yeah, that is so. Wait, actually,
and the Liberty.
Yeah, because the Liberty lost to to the Fever, obviously. So that's kind of
Yeah.
the direct one. But the Dream would have been in if they hadn't lost that Sun game. Is that what it would have been?
I'm pretty sure it lost to the Sun, and then we're up like 17 again at New York, and then New York came back and won.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that one's got to sting a little bit because the Dream that would have been a pretty fun matchup. We saw those two teams just go at it recently.
It went to overtime.
Overtime game, exactly. It was a great game. All right, talk to me a little bit about your MVP picks, then I'll talk about some of my player prop stuff as well. But I love these, especially the K-Mac one.
Yeah.
I'm going to co-sign officially, and then I'm sure by the end of you saying a year line of breakdown, I'll be joining you.
Yeah. I mean, just like the rest of this league, it loves its bigs. They get rewarded outside of Caitlin, of course. I mean, Chelsea Gray is the anomaly for an MVP in this Commissioner Cup, series. But we've had Stewie, Jonquel, and Fee.
Yeah.
Alana Smith, we've seen spots where she can go nuclear, and I think the matchup is truly there. I mean, right now, I assume they're gonna put Howard on Collier, but like I don't love that. Like I do think one of these players. I mean, there's no way Aaliyah Boston doesn't get in foul trouble if she's on Collier, so she's probably gonna take Alana Smith.
Yeah.
I like Alana Smith taking a lot of threes then, right? Like I think she can pull Aaliyah away from the basket, help them, helps the Lynx with offensive rebounds. I just think it's advantageous for her. And I mean, like we've seen her have, go off for 26 earlier this year. Like there is a world where she does win MVP.
And it's more than 1% of those worlds, I would say as well.
Yeah. And then I think K-Mac, is also a player that's like universally loved too. Like I do think there's some narrative that goes into that with her, and we've seen her have those moments where she gets on a heater and takes over. It's truly special. I mean, to me, she's arguably top 3 shooters in the league. And she can get to the rim. So if she's having a big night, which, I mean, granted, might draw a tough matchup with Lexi Hole, but Lexi Hole can't play 40 minutes. Like nobody on that Fever team can. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone that can play 40 minutes in this league anymore. It's not good for player health. I mean, look what's happening to Kelsey Plum. Oh, like 0 for 5 in that fourth quarter against the Sky, by the way. Disgusting. But anyways, so yeah, I think there's just absolutely zero value on Fee to win MVP. I think I've seen minus 170. So I love the angle of looking at top scorer. I mean, that's probably the only other way to bet it. Granted, she can win MVP and not win top scorer. We've seen that before. So
yeah, literally last year.
But that's probably the best hedge for like a K-Mac. I mean, Courtney Williams scares me a little bit. Like that'd be very Chelsea Grayish of them if she has a big night.
Like the soul of the team.
Yeah.
But Minnesota has so many souls because like I agree with you that K-Mac is incredibly respected. And I think that one thing that's kind of important is that Fee won it last year. Fee like actively after she won was like, I probably shouldn't have won it. Like I do think the voters will kind of be like, oh, like Fee got one. I think the Fee got one tax is, and you're at like a minus number. Yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't be laying Fee at that point. Just bet the Lynx money line is only a little bit more expensive, or the Lynx spread. Like I don't think that the Fee MVP really makes a lot of sense. I do, as you mentioned, like the Fee top scorer. So the reason I like this one, it's plus money instead of a minus 170, and she has this is crazy. She has led the entire game in scoring 10 of the 13 games she has played this season. That's an absolutely insane ratio. Part of that is Minnesota's a great defense, and they really do a good job of shutting down the top opponent scorer. So she led the game when they played Phoenix. She had 18 points, and that was the high score and tied for the high score in the game. So she is
fairly easy schedule though.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so part of this though, the other part of this is that Caitlin is in this market right now, and they can't really not have Caitlin in this market. So that is a big, like if Caitlin came out, this suddenly moves a lot, and Fee suddenly is a minus big number. But I
love it. That's a good point. That's huge. That's huge.
Have to keep Caitlin in for this, and this is one of those ways you can kind of, us both thinking there's a pretty decent chance she doesn't play. Even if she does play, playing against the Lynx is really tough. If she does play, then it's like that's tough. You might even be able to hit Caitlin at a decent number.
Yeah, I'm co-signing the shit out of this. Yeah,
I love it.
Especially just Caitlin, don't play.
I do. The more we see information wise, it does kind of seem like it's skewing that direction. Are there any final thoughts here? Should we try to put together
I have one question. Okay, so Caitlin's active. Like, what's the first thing you do?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the first thing I do is hit her 30 plus, because I really do think that I'm not going to beat the number. I'm not an information better. So I see the alert. By the time I get in there, I want to usually post it. It's like it moves too quick. I think I will go to her points and bet the 30 plus, because I really think that in these big games, this is a very tough defense, but I think that she really does have those moments, and she's going to be, if they're playing her, I think she's healthy. And again, the rest thing I think is more important than the home road thing. I think if anything, I actually don't think I have to rush to bet it. I think it might get bet down because it's a tough matchup, and the home road thing is so on people's mind. I think you can wait a little bit, get the alt. I like the alt more because if she's semi-healthy, you're not going to get there anyways. It's only if she truly is healthy and playing great, you're going to get it. So I say shoot the moon and go for it with 30 plus. What about you? What's the first move you make if she's in?
I mean, I'm buying out at my 6.5 if I have the Speedy Gonzalez hands, or if I get a word from one of my people.
Are you doing money line? Are you doing spread?
Oh yeah, money line and spread. Yeah, I mean, if she's playing,
you're all okay. You're all in.
Caitlin Clark in prime time. It's due. I mean, you got Commissioner Cup, CC, MVP, CC. They already have shirts and shit made. Easy. Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. I'm getting out of everything I'm in. And then I'll live bet and find a way to make money on it. But I mean, it's way too scary with the dogs and the road teams winning this game. And I mean, I think it really does. Like, look at the past few teams who have lost this, gone on to win the title.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very small sample size, but it is over a few years, and we've seen all of these teams go to the finals / make the finals. So
I think you pointed out before the show, but I actually don't think we talked about it yet. The underdog has won every single game here, right?
Yeah, except for, I mean, I don't know what the Storm Sun was. I couldn't find a number.
For the last 3 years.
I just remember watching it and being bored. That's all.
Yeah, that one wasn't the prettiest game ever. So the last 3 years, we've had the underdog win, and that's been the road team each year as well. Yeah. So that is definitely notable. And we said last year was a little weird with it being in Long Island instead of the standard Barclays. So that's worth noting. But I mean, I'm with you. And like I said, I had 2 game scripts here. I had the one where Caitlin just goes off because she's actually well rested for this. She lives up to the moment in these big moments, and they're very live to win. The other is that either she doesn't play or she plays hurt. I don't think playing hurt is a very reasonable option. And if she doesn't play, I think there's a pretty decent script that Minnesota wins by a decent number. So that's why I'm on that side right now.
No, that's fair. It's fair. I probably overreacted there, just thinking about all the narratives happening.
Though. I'm with you. And Caitlin in these big games tends to do incredibly well, and the teams usually do very well. I will say, to the point of that, the turnovers prop, I think I stopped mid cap on that one. But even in that New York game that she played so excellent, she had 7 turnovers. So I think it'll be a very high usage game for her. First game back against a team that forces a lot of turnovers. I'll like that no matter what.
I hate that it's on Prime Video and not national television.
It is tough. Yeah. Hopefully, I think a lot of people have Prime though. So hopefully,
no. I mean, I just feel like Caitlin does better when she's on ABC.
Yeah, the ABC games.
Yeah, but
let's put together a little same game parlay for this, because this is a fun game. We've talked through a fair amount. Let's pull out the old phones here and see what we can work through. So we both like, at least as of now, the Lynx side. So should we start with just the -6.5? I think that's probably a good first leg.
Why not? Yeah, send it.
Let's do that. I want to see if we can get that top score. I don't think it's under the same game parlay. I don't see it here. While I'm looking to see if I can add that, is there any other? Are there any props? Are there any quarter stuff? What else should we have in here?
I would have to. I mean, fee to get a double seems pretty simple.
I love it.
At -110.
We didn't get so you can't add the leading score, but that's a decent proxy. There is the -110 on the double. If we think that Caitlin is out, and that's part of why we're on the Lynx, I think Aaliyah Boston under points. That's always one of my favorite bets when Caitlin doesn't play, to go Boston under her points. So if we go under 15.5, we're up to 373. Let's find one more leg of this. We talked about how these are both really good first quarter teams. Do we think like a first quarter over points, or do you think that like in a big game sometimes folks come out a little tight? Or is there any other player prop stuff? Or if we wanted to do like well, that probably won't help us very much. I was thinking like a double result. That probably won't help us since we're on.
I was thinking of a blowout and like a fourth quarter under.
I don't mind that at all. And I will say the Fever are one of the worst fourth quarter teams this season, so I don't mind that. That's
they are terrible in the fourth.
They are. So that gets us a plus 701. That's not bad. So we have Lynx -6.5, Fee to recorded double, Leah Boston under 15.5, and the fourth quarter under 39.5. That's plus 701.
And if it's a close game, like at the fourth, like everyone gets nervous, like that's still doable.
Yeah, there's multiple. That's a very good call. I like that a lot. That fourth quarter under there. I'm always trying to throw some of those in there. So I think that's a pretty good script. You could even bump it out to like Lynx -9.5, something like that, if you're trying to get real greedy. But plus 701 isn't bad. I'm probably gonna log that, bet that right when we get off. Any other final thoughts before we get out of here? I'm really excited to watch this game. You know, I do, even though we just broke down all this stuff with thinking Caitlin isn't going to play, and you know, probably wouldn't help my bets. I want Caitlin to play. You always want to see the best players battling it out. So I really do hope we see Caitlin. I hope we see Caitlin and we get some of these W's on these bets. But any final thoughts on this game before we get out of here?
Not on this game, but shout out to Julie Van Loo. Horrible thing that happened to her today. Cannot believe that she was cut. She flew home, skipped the celebration after winning Eurobasket. Posted an Instagram story of the Chase Center, like with some hearts, and then she gets waved like right after landing in San Francisco.
Oh man,
terrible.
I missed that. That's
terrible.
The Valkyries have had a couple of like kind of cold moves. They're like, they're very good overall. Like, and they're building that base up. They've had a couple of really, really cold moves. I missed that.
I'd be more mad if I didn't trust Natalie Nicasio with my entire life.
I know she has quickly ascended into a buckets favorite, and I think everyone in the league is like, she might be a top 3 coach in the league, if not higher.
Yeah.
All right. With that in mind, so if you want to tail any of the bets we talked about today, you can get those in the quick slip links in the episode description. Obviously, would love you to download the Action Network app. Dano and I will be posting our plays there. Before you listen to this, probably do it right after recording here. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening to it via a podcast, rating or review is always appreciated. Thanks to David Payne, got back from a sweet trip to Alaska. Got to see some cool photos there of his journey up far north. Thanks to Gifford Gould on the YouTube team. And for myself and Dano Mataya, let's get buckets.